victim of a shooting that night in the club, December 27th, 1999, shot in the face by Sean Puffy Combs. I was an innocent bystander.
Back with Moses Shine Barrow, who served nearly 9 years in prison, stemming from that infamous nightclub shooting that changed his life forever. His co-defendant, Sean Combs, was acquitted.
I'm 42, I'm gonna be 43 next month.
And at this time with Diddy,
I was probably like 19.
Yeah. He joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she had to say, as well as those jurors.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's involvement.
And I said, Puffy shot me in my face. This man testified. I testified in the criminal trial. This man testified in the criminal trial. People are like, why didn't she speak up then? Why is she saying something now? She want clout. Are you dumb?
J-Lo is just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Well, she deserves it. She's one of the flyest out there.
Yeah, well, she thinks that of you too. She named you one of the great loves of her life.
Yeah,
was she one of yours too?
Yeah, without a doubt.
This is undoubtedly not J-Lo year. She got involved in a divorce just when we believed she had the most romantic tale ever told. And her This Is Me Now documentary failed. The intriguing thing is that rumors have it that her history with the disgraced entrepreneur Diddy is connected to all of this. Keep watching because we are going to expose some stunning theories at the conclusion that demonstrate that Ben left J-Lo due to Diddy. Let us begin.
Everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
Maybe she was meant for the men.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
The occasion was J-Lo and Diddy before Bennett for 1.0 or 2.0. During their 1999 to 2001 relationship, you could not pick up a tabloid without seeing the two strutting the red carpet, wearing expensive clothing, and essentially controlling New York City. After a club shooting occurred in 1999, the relationship began to deteriorate. Diddy allegedly caused a fight in a New York bar by knocking a drink out of someone's hand. After a rapid escalation, 3 people were hurt, including Natanya Rubin, who said Diddy's bullet struck her in the face. The pair then fled, but they were caught shortly after. Hours after her arrest, J-Lo was freed from custody, but Diddy was briefly detained. Despite facing severe charges, he and his bodyguard were freed because Jennifer, a witness, stated they were both innocent.
Your car drove by, saw a female hand throwing a gun out of the
Ridiculous.
car.
I don't
You're the only female
it.
in the car. You don't want to talk about
Ridiculous.
it? You very confident that Puffy will be found innocent in this trial?
Yes, I will.
You going to testify?
If they need me.
Now that everything has been revealed, people are thinking that she might have lied to protect Diddy's reputation, which could have been her worst error. Are you aware of who was at fault? Shine is another stage name for Moses Michael Barrow. He was a young rapper named Diddy's apprentice that we never heard of. Shine was present at the club and was imprisoned for 9 years. Despite everything, Jennifer and Diddy dated for about 2 years before calling it quits in 2001. In interviews, the two of them also expressed positive opinions of one another and showed no signs of hostility. Because they committed a crime together, many are questioning whether she and him have a solid connection. Although nothing has been verified as of yet, people are starting to voice their opinions now that Diddy is facing numerous legal issues. In a recent interview, Shine, the artist who served 9 years in prison, claimed that Diddy had ruined his life when he was just 18. After turning around, he said, the rapper asked witnesses to testify against him for something he had not done.
I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he contributed. He pretty much sent me to prison.
It is also odd that the shot victim, Natanya, never altered her account. She claimed that Diddy shot her while he was brandishing the gun.
And I said, Puffy shot me in my face. This man testified. I testified in the criminal trial. This man testified in the criminal trial. People are like, why didn't she speak up then? Why is she saying something now? She want clout. Are you dumb?
Jennifer might also be in a lot of trouble if all of these allegations are accurate. She assured everyone that Diddy was not carrying a gun and that he was innocent. People are left wondering why she is still so close to him, and everything just seems so jumbled. He has something on her, that is why. Similar statements have been made by Suge Knight while incarcerated. Let us now discuss one of the hypotheses as to why Ben left J-Lo. In his podcast He Runs from Prison, Suge, a prominent figure in the rap music industry, reportedly stated that the FBI purportedly confiscated tapes from Diddy's home were the catalyst for Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's supposedly tense relationship. Suge claims that such tapes are more than just ordinary household videos. These shocking recordings may provide insight into J-Lo's role in the 1999 case. He stated unequivocally that there were scenes on these tapes that would indicate Jennifer lied when she claimed that Shine owned the pistol, which led to his imprisonment. She allegedly knew that the gun belonged to Diddy and was acting as his stand-in at the time. Suge believes that Ben Affleck's possession of these records has caused a rift between him and J-Lo. He expressed his confidence that the FBI gave Ben the tape as soon as they discovered it. Do you believe that Ben dipped before being involved as well, and that the feds are coming after J-Lo? The theory is intriguing. It is unclear if this is concrete proof or simply another Suge myth, but it has definitely made many look more closely at the supposed breakup of the Hollywood pair. It could not even be the Ben was obviously triggered by the notion that J-Lo and Diddy even have a relationship, provide PR assistance, or whatever. A recipe for disaster is created when you combine that with J-Lo's reputation of being well-maintained, a celebrity lover, and a high-maintenance person. Let us quickly examine the reasons behind the personality differences between the two lovers.
As fate would have it, 20 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt inspired in the same way that I did when I did that first record. I was like, I'm gonna make This Is Me now.
It is very clear that Ben was the one who decided to break up with Jennifer because she was in love with him. Given how obvious it is that celebrities are rushing to disassociate themselves from Diddy, Ben might have simply adopted a harsher position.
My life, been through a lot of different kinds of experiences with the press, and it's not my favorite part of the job. It's not what I would choose to do.
The popularity that comes with being a star is something that Ben Affleck dislikes as well. The man only comes out when it is time for press tours and else stays quiet. People were startled to learn that he had reconnected with Jennifer, who many have said was the total reverse of that. This is a brief account of Ben and J-Lo romance. After co-starring in the film Giggly, the two began dating in 2002. They called off their 2003 marriage proposal and split up in 2004. They eventually got back together and got married in 2022 after having children and getting married to other people. However, because it only took them 2 years to abandon their relationship, this may have been a bad choice on both sides. Ben is not into celebrity, but let us face it, J-Lo loves it and goes out of her way to get attention. Although the two may have been in love, this man, who was previously married to Jennifer Garner, dislikes being in the spotlight. He might have been overwhelmed by the change to J-Lo. He was rather taken aback when he discovered in an interview that Jennifer had been flaunting letters he had written her during their courtship 2 decades prior. She disagreed with him, who saw them as private and did not want his letters to be seen by the general public.
How do you accept an award for being something that you know you're not? How do you do that?
In addition to interpersonal conflicts, it seems that Diddy's tapes might have been the last straw in the partnership. The timeline, that is, partially corresponds. Consider this. Ben Affleck purchased a new $20 million property in Los Angeles at the end of July, just before their formal separation on August 20th, after the FBI searched Diddy's house in March. TMZ sources claim that Ben moved out of the Beverly Hills house in late June, before Jennifer got back from a recent vacation to Europe, he told her. Before purchasing his home, he then began renting an apartment in Brentwood. It appears that a major event caused the two to become estranged between the raid and the divorce. Other well-known figures in the industry, such as Jaguar Wright, have stated that J-Lo ought to face charges since she is more engaged with Diddy than she acknowledges.
Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Should I keep going?
I mean, you're hitting it on.
What are your thoughts? In 1999, did Jennifer tell a lie? And even though it has been more than 20 years, should she still be held accountable if she did? In my opinion, J.Lo would not look good in orange, and she would most likely start attempting to distance herself from Diddy by severing any connections. Diddy is one person who is becoming weary of prison mail. He is trying to get out on bail for the third time, but this time he is trying harder. After 2 court judges rejected his appeal, he is taking it to a higher court in the hopes that they would grant him a reprieve.
Sean Combs making a third pitch to be released on bail. This time, he's going to a higher court, hoping he'll be released on bail.
Mark Agnifilo, his attorney, is pushing for this new court to rule that those judges made a mistake, which is likely a huge request. In stark contrast to his customary VIP treatment, he has been lounging in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center and is eager to leave.
And I don't think they would do that. It's based on the evidence that he's being convicted by.
Both Andrew Carter Jr. and U.S. Magistrate Court Robin Tarnowski, the initial court in the same case, had previously rejected the rapper's bail request. Diddy has been in jail for about a month because these 2 judges agreed with the prosecutors that he should stay there until his trial. Recall that Diddy entered a not guilty plea to a number of serious accusations last month, including trafficking, coercing, and assaulting women since 2008, as well as racketeering conspiracy. Or, according to the indictment, he oversaw a corrupt network of workers that assisted in intimidating, blackmailing, and in some cases, physically abusing victims to keep them silent. Judges have been reluctant to release him on bond because of this. His case was not helped by the initial bail offer of a $50 million bond, stringent travel restrictions, monthly drug tests, GPS tracking, and even turning over his and his family's passports, including the one of his 1-year-old youngest child. At this juncture, the music mogul shifted his approach. Diddy has also assembled a dream defense team of legal experts to fight his case in order to secure that bail. He has legal behemoths Anthony Rico and Alexandra Shapiro on his defense team, who just filed a motion in court to step down from their representation of Diddy. Alexandra, an appellate lawyer, approved Diddy's appeal of the denial of his bond release, while Anthony was renowned for spearheading the defense in up to 45 federal death penalty cases. Therefore, one person's responsibility is to get him out of jail, and the other person's responsibility is to ensure that, even if he is found guilty, he does not receive excessive time. The 2 are undoubtedly worth the money, though, as they filed court paperwork alleging that the Department of Homeland Security had leaked video footage to the media. We are referring to the video that shows him attacking his former girlfriend, Cassie, in a hotel corridor back in 2016. They contend that this video and other purported leaks will sway the jury and put Diddy at risk of being shot during a fair trial. We have all formed ideas about Diddy based on that video, and the public has been attacking him, but who can you blame? The judge has agreed that the trial would start on May 5th, 2025, despite Diddy's attorney's insistence on a trial in April or May. Nobody knows if he will have to remain in jail until his trial because there has been no update on his last bail bid, but it appears that he has very little chance of being granted it. You see, the prosecutors are serious about getting Diddy what he wants. The U.S. prosecutors overseeing Diddy's case have revealed that they have started to provide his defense team access to the vast amount of evidence against Diddy. It is a lot, too.
He joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she had to say, as well as those jurors.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J.Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J.Lo's involvement.
For Jenny from the block, it simply got too hot. Because Jennifer Lopez may have been more than Diddy's ex-girlfriend, based on allegations and some damning evidence from Cassie Ventura. He may have had her as an accomplice. We are discussing falsehoods, cover-ups, and smuggling, and now she is apparently on the run. J.Lo has been largely invisible since Diddy's legal ordeal began, and we may finally understand why. Cassie just testified, yes, in tears, that Diddy forced her to handle a loaded pistol in public and used her as a pawn in his disaster. However, it is not a gag. The true explanation is that J-Lo may have assisted him in doing the same thing years prior, helping to hide a crime that resulted in the imprisonment of an innocent man. Can you guess who might accompany Diddy if he goes down? J-Lo, you all need to brace up because this story is insane. Let us get started. As we all know, Cassie Ventura and Diddy had a lengthy and extremely upsetting past. She recently testified that Diddy once gave her a loaded gun before they entered a club in Los Angeles. She was allegedly crying as she described everything, baby. The trauma was palpable.
When she was on the stand, at times she became visibly upset, wiping away tears as she gave her evidence.
However, this is where things become even more sinister. The complaint filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones claims that in 1999, Jennifer Lopez sneaked a revolver into a nightclub in New York City on Diddy's behalf. 3 persons were shot that same evening, including Natanya Rubin, a woman who was struck in the face. It is giving ride or die, yes, but illegal die. It does not seem good that he keeps exploiting his women as gun mules. To be honest, J-Lo is not innocent in any of this. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time is not the only factor here. This appears to be active involvement.
As we talked about in the first part, there seems to be some misinformation or misunderstanding of what really went down in that trial, what was said, what people were blamed for and what they were not. I'd love to hear your perspective and specifically kind of what you wish people understood about that trial that maybe they don't at this time.
I mean, even from the very day that the thing took place, because if you notice their mugshots, only Shine truly has a mugshot. Puffy and J-Lo, Puffy's in front of a concrete wall, J-Lo is in front of a bulletin board in some old t-shirts. Now, I want everyone to think that was the night of the shooting. You don't think at Christmas time, Puffy and J-Lo went out in some old raggedy t-shirts, right? No, there was already a agenda afoot to conceal what they had on, to try to sway the minds of people, to throw your memory off, but they couldn't throw my memory off.
Not to mention that J-Lo identified Shine Barrow as the gunman that evening, according to testimony from Diddy's own driver. If that is the case, she not only carried the firearm, but also allegedly assisted Diddy in framing Shine, who was sentenced to a lengthy prison sentence for a crime he may not have committed. For the benefit of those who are unaware, Shine has been vocal for years about Diddy being a setup and not his friend. And you know what? According to Gene Deal, the former head of Bad Boy Security, Diddy allegedly declared that he detested Shine. Therefore, this framing issue is not completely impossible.
It's real talk. But I gotta ask you, right? I seen a trailer for a Sean documentary that you went in. How did that come about, you being in that documentary?
Well, I was there doing that whole trial with Shine and Puff. Puff said, I hate that motherfucker. Blake. He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
We already know that Shine was soiled, but it gets worse. Diddy allegedly handpicked the witnesses in that 1999 trial, allegedly stacked the deck, and worse, according to several insiders, J-Lo was complicit. They allegedly worked behind the scenes to bury Shine, training witnesses to say what they needed to say and, get this, allegedly purchasing jurors.
Anybody that was there, I know this young lady said Puff did the shooting. What I was told by Wolf himself, and he spoke very little about it because he had mad love for Shine.
Diddy and J-Lo left as if nothing had occurred. Naturally, J-Lo was discarded by Diddy soon after, as if she were merely a piece in the game. But let us face it, they both gained their desired independence.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
You may be sitting here wondering why J-Lo did not testify during all of this chaos. When the shooting occurred, was she not there? Let me introduce you to something crazy. J-Lo and Diddy secretly got married around the time of the 1999 shooting. according to Jaguar Wright, who is no stranger to leaking A-list secrets. And no, you guys, not out of love. Jaguar asserted that strategy was more important in that marriage than romance. You see, J-Lo could not be made to testify against Diddy in court if she was legally his wife. Hollywood frequently uses such to cover tunes, and it is a legal loophole, and it was successful. Diddy kept his secrets more tightly sealed than Fort Knox. She avoided that courtroom, and her hands remained clean.
Sean caused a lot of that stuff himself, and Puff said, I hate that motherfucker. Blatant. He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
Wow, you never told me about that, man. You seen how Flex, he came out calling Sean a liar?
Well, I think Funkmaster Flex has every right to say what he said because he know a little bit more than most.
Although the marriage cannot be officially verified, Jaguar claims that the ceremony took place. According to reports, J-Lo even went to some of Diddy's notorious freak-off parties. According to one complaint, a prominent female celebrity even observed one of these parties while a 13-year-old was coerced into attending. Look, the streets are buzzing, but we are not claiming that J-Lo was a celebrity. Furthermore, it is becoming increasingly difficult to overlook the linkages as J-Lo's name is suddenly appearing in court dockets, litigation, and even old witness testimony. But listen to this, and it does not end there. That 13-year-old, she was not the only victim, unfortunately. Misha, another woman, came forward with an equally unsettling account. Misha claims that J-Lo was not only in the building, but was actually there, in the spotlight, as Diddy allegedly subjected her to some extremely traumatic experiences at one of those now famous freak-off parties. Misha claimed that throughout the incident, she looked J-Lo in the eye. Guess what she received in exchange for her silent pleas for assistance? Nothing. Nothing to say. Nothing. A blank stare.
I remember he did what he did to me, and then when it was time for Jennifer Lopez, she was there with a guy, and he was standing there looking disgusted, but didn't nobody save me. She stuck that glass in me, and after that, my eyes were booked the whole time.
She has a lot of explaining to do if that is the case, and J-Lo actually watched all of that happen. And if you thought it could not get much messier, be ready, because this is not the first time that J-Lo has been linked to these perverse groups. Years ago, there was a major incident when her ex-husband, Ojani Noah, spilled his own tea. Ojani asserted that J-Lo was deeply involved in these activities and was not just attending them on a casual basis. He went so far as to say that she ought to be questioned over the alleged S-tapes connected to Diddy and his close circle. Those cassettes indeed, the ones that come up whenever someone brings about covert cameras and baby oil. Neither did he bite his tongue. He asserts that J-Lo is not the same person behind closed doors as she is on the red carpet. He said bluntly that she was well aware of what transpired at those gatherings and did not appear to care. Look, ex-partners do occasionally speak recklessly. Do not lie. Let us be honest though. This is not your typical resentful ex bringing someone down for infidelity. The pieces are beginning to fit together when you consider Ojani's allegations, Misha's account, Cassie's moving testimony, and the lawsuits piling up like a set of dominoes. J-Lo is no longer seeming to be an innocent bystander. What about the frosting on this rather untidy cake? As part of the larger federal investigation into Diddy, 2 law enforcement sources informed the New York Post in 2024 that the 1999 nightclub shooting would be reopened. If that occurs, and J-Lo's name is connected to those incidents, she may also find herself in a trial. Social media is not surprising now. It was best expressed by one user. The public was aware that Jennifer Lopez was carrying it for him. Despite being a gifted vocalist, she is not very famous or well-known. Listen, the amount of fame never truly matched the talent, and now the true cause of her ascent may be coming to light. But, everyone, this is where things get messier. Sui asserted in an interview that distance and disagreements were not the only factors contributing to J-Lo and Ben Affleck's disintegrating marriage. Nope. He claims that at one of those so-called freak-off parties, the feds allegedly played a tape of J-Lo and Diddy to Ben. Now picture that man sitting down, assuming he is going to watch evidence for a case, only to discover that his wife, the woman he recently renewed his romance with, is supposedly attending Diddy's perverse private parties. According to reports, Ben was unable to look at her the same way after that. Can you really blame him? Let us face it.
You're a news team. Did y'all hear about what's his name? Suge Knight. He said, baby, he think the reason why Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck broke up because he feels that that they had some tapes at Diddy's mansion that showing her in a compromising position, and that the FBI allegedly may have sent those tapes to Ben Affleck. You know, Ben Affleck is a white man in America, and he's a very prominent man. They say he's a darling, which means people love him.
Nor is this a tabloid rumor from 10 years ago. Take a peek at the timeline. Things between J-Lo and Ben abruptly began to rapidly deteriorate after the federal government raided Diddy's properties. Together, they ceased to appear. She resumed walking the red carpet alone. The body language was strange. Additionally, they are no longer wed. Despite J-Lo's years of being quiet and elegant for the media, these court records give a completely different picture. This is not a romantic comedy, if these accusations are even partially accurate. This is becoming a criminal dot. Speaking of judicial drama, it is hardly surprising that J-Lo has purportedly disappeared from view given everything Cassie has been revealing about Diddy. Where exactly is she hiding? Cassie's testimony, perhaps? Ooh, every day has been growing darker. She claimed that Mr. Combs essentially wanted to own her life, paying for everything she owned, including her phone, house, and automobiles, and would take it all away as a kind of punishment, complete command. According to her testimony, here, control was everything, from what I was working on to how I looked. However, that control eventually devolved into violence. I'm talking about actual violence now. In court, Cassie sobbed, claiming that Diddy would kick her, drag her, knock her over, and bitch her head. She testified that she had black eyes, swollen lips, and actual knots on her forehead. It progressed from being unsettling to being downright terrifying when the prosecutors started to get involved in the freak-offs. According to Cassie's testimony, during the first year of their relationship, Diddy introduced her to these perverse gatherings. Allegedly, he would hire strippers and male escorts to have sex with her while he looked on. And these were not one-time events, you know. Up to 4 days passed during some of these incidents.
She said they were so exhausting, she needed a recovery period from uses of drugs and the physical exhaustion of the activities at play.
She claimed that although she began doing it to please Diddy, it ultimately made her feel ashamed. She said, "I felt fairly bad about myself." As she broke down on the stand, "I felt useless as a result." Cassie claimed that she used a variety of drugs, including ketamine, ecstasy, grass, and more, to even get through it. She claimed that it assisted her in separating herself from the actual situation. X with an unknown person? I was not really interested in having X. Diddy too? They said he was planning it all. He would give her instructions to locate these men, escorts, strippers, and dancers, and then, based on their performance, pay them between $1,500 and $6,000. According to her, they discovered them on Craigslist and through stripper businesses. Similar to Craigslist, some of these men, including Daniel Phillip, who had already testified, were even identified in court using pictures that were provided to jurors.
Said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to the said freak-off?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up and she said, "I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs."
This is the point at which J-Lo comes up again. You cannot claim she was unaware of this pattern. She dated Diddy first, after all. She was there when he was at his most chaotic. So this side of him that is dark, she had seen it before. Rumor has it that she is quite afraid of being called to the stand because of this. She has allegedly been avoiding that subpoena like the plague. Some even claim that she escaped to a nation without an extradition treaty in case this situation blew up and she was also dragged in. Because let us be honest, folks, it is becoming increasingly apparent that Diddy is going down because of the growing evidence against him. And J-Lo might not be long behind if the federal government decides to start looking through the records to see who was present. I would like to hear from you all now. Do you believe that J-Lo will be the next well-known figure to be implicated in Diddy's escalating scandal? Was she actually assisting him in the background all along? Or is she simply a victim of the crossfire? Leave your comments in the section below. It is too juicy, so do not hold back. To ensure you do not miss the next release, make sure you hit the bell notification, subscribe, and hit the like button, because believe me, it is difficult to predict who will be the next to go down in the Diddy trial.